Anything goes in the rap game. When you claim to be gangsta in your music and you're out in public rocking expensive jewelry, eventually someone is gonna test you. Here's a look at some of the hottest rappers who have had their chain snatched. NBA Youngboy. Kentrell Gaulden, aka NBA Youngboy, is a popular rapper from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Youngboy is one of the wildest rappers of the new generation, and despite being only 21 years old, he has a crazy rap sheet that includes arrests for everything from attempted murder to kidnapping. However, the bigger your reputation in the street, the more you become a target of enemies and clout chasers who are looking to build a name by catching you lacking. However, Youngboy is really about that life and isn't willing to let his chain go easily. Youngboy has gotten into his fair share of fights with fans and enemies who try to test him. At a show in South Carolina, the rapper even went as far as punching the fan in the face for trying to snatch his chain. Video of the show released by TMZ shows Youngboy performing the song War With Us from on top of a security guard's shoulders in the middle of the general admission section with fans surrounding him. In the video, Youngboy is shirtless with a chain around his neck. He's in the middle of a performance when a fan suddenly jumps up and tries to grab the chain from his neck. This attempt is unsuccessful and Youngboy continues the performance, but as soon as he gets a break, he tries to take it off in case there is another attempt. After he gets it off his neck, either the same fan or another goon in the audience tries to snatch it out of his hands. Without hesitating for a second, Youngboy cocks back his fist and rocks the dude in the face. He falls off the security guard's shoulders and starts punching and shoving people beside him in the crowd. At this point, Quando Rondo and other members of Youngboy's crew jump into the crowd to provide backup, but after a few seconds, Youngboy is back to performing. As he does, he starts holding the chain up in front of the crowd, showing that he kept it the whole time and taunting any other chain snatchers to try their luck. So Youngboy can protect his jewelry when it is around his own neck. But during a different show, Youngboy lent a piece to his homeboy and wasn't so lucky. After a performance in Greensboro, North Carolina, Youngboy stopped the show to announce that he was angry because someone stole a chain from his partner.
Hey, you see that chain? Hey, you see that chain you just took out my partner neck? Hey, that chain you just took out my partner neck, that ain't his chain. That's my chain. I ain't really tripping off this shit. I got too much money. Man, shoot this bitch up safe.
He says the chain was his, and he's not happy that someone stole it. He's clearly pissed because he keeps yelling at fans and even threatens to punch a female spectator who had gotten up on the stage after he stopped performing.
Hey, get the fuck back. I don't know you get the fuck back. Get back. Yeah, I'll punch you your shit. Hey, get the fuck back, man. Stop touching me.
Security is tense because they try to restrain him, but NBA Youngboy is not an artist you can easily control. He says he isn't tripping over a single chain because he has way too much money. However, he also threatens to shoot up the club over it. He tries to get the chain snatcher to identify themselves, but clearly, no one is stupid enough to openly admit that they stole Youngboy's chain while in a room full of fans and his entourage. TMZ later reported that the guy who stole the chain wanted a $20,000 ransom for its safe return. However, he eventually returned it without any drama. Supposedly, the transaction was brokered by hip-hop mediator JoJo Capone. JoJo was a legendary rapper and A&R from Chicago who has been instrumental in the careers of artists like 2 Chainz and Bump J. He has brokered many peace deals behind the scenes in hip-hop, like the beef between The Game and Young Thug. Allegedly, JoJo stepped in to ensure that Youngboy got his chain back and no blood was spilled over a petty robbery. Performing a packed show with expensive jewelry on can get risky. This next artist got his jewelry snatched while crowd surfing at a show in Atlanta. Here's what happened. Playboi Carti. Jordan Carter, aka Playboi Carti, is a rapper from Atlanta, Georgia. Carti is known for his unique delivery and hits like Magnolia and Woke Up Like This with Lil Uzi Vert. Carti is an artist who is either loved or hated by rap fans. For those who embrace the new generation of mumble rappers, he's an icon and an innovator. But those who are used to the sound of traditional hip-hop are often confused by his style and approach to music. Love him or hate him, Carti is one of the most talked about artists to emerge in the late 2010s. Carti has never portrayed a gangsta image and is known more for being an influencer and trendsetter than a street rapper. However, just because you don't portray the life doesn't mean you're safe. At a show in Atlanta back in 2017, Carti had his chain snatched by a fan while he was crowd surfing. Carti was hot off the success of his debut self-titled album and the hit song Magnolia. It was his first time performing in his hometown since blowing up on the mainstream level, and the show was pretty wild. Footage from the concert shows Carti shirtless on top of the crowd as they chant along to his song. At the beginning of the clip, you can see that he has a small gold chain around his neck, but by the end, it's gone. More footage from the same concert shows Carti addressing the chain snatching. He lets the fans know that he had a chain on before he jumped in the crowd and that he knows someone jacked it.
Look, I had over the chain. Whoever took that shit, you hired that shit on this video. You did? You did? Run that shit up.
However, unlike Youngboy, Carti doesn't threaten to shoot up the audience. He tells the fan that they can keep the chain, but he still isn't happy about it. Carti isn't a street rapper, and therefore, there isn't as much pressure on him to do something about the situation. Chain snatching isn't just about stealing an expensive piece of jewelry. It's a sign of disrespect and a way to make rappers look soft in public. Carti doesn't claim to be about that life, and therefore, he wasn't tripping as much as Youngboy about the theft. However, no one likes getting stolen from, and he had to address the situation just to let fans know that it was a cheap move. But not all rappers are as forgiving as Carti. This next artist got into a shootout after someone snatched his chain at a deli in New Jersey. Yep, here's the crazy story. Fetty Wap. Willie Maxwell II, aka Fetty Wap, is a rapper and singer from Paterson, New Jersey. Fetty is best known for his hit singles Trap Queen and My Way, which were major hits back in 2015. Fetty's career fizzled after the release of his debut, self-titled album. However, he continues to release music despite not reaching the same level of commercial success. But being a major star doesn't save you from street drama. Back in 2017, Fetty Wap got into an altercation in his hometown of Paterson, New Jersey, after another artist he had beef with stole his chain. The robbery led to a shootout that left 3 men with non-critical injuries, and the robber was later arrested after cell snitching on Instagram. The incident went down at a deli in Paterson back in March 2017. Footage from the deli shows Fetty Wap running away while a big dude with a pistol in his hand approaches him. Details later emerged that claimed after the incident, there was a shootout that left 3 people injured but no one killed. A man named Raheem Thomas, who went by the name Fuzz, was later arrested for the robbery after posting photos to Instagram of himself wearing the chain. It was pretty easy to identify as the chain spelled out 1738, the name of the squad that Fetty rep. Supposedly, the shootout and the chain snatching stemmed from a street beef that Fetty had with Fuzz and his crew. Fuzz is also an artist from Paterson who owns a company called Muscle Team Entertainment. A few months before the chain snatching, TMZ caught up with Fuzz, who broke down the beef. Fuzz claims that Fetty and one of his artists had a track together that was popular in Paterson. Fuzz claims he helped Fetty and his crew early in his career, but their energy changed when things started to pop off. He claims that Fetty's manager had a problem with the Muscle Team, so he told promoters in the city that he could only book Fetty and not anyone associated with their camp. That is what set off the beef, and when Fetty got recognized on a mainstream level, his team continued to have them blackballed in the industry. In the same video, he tells Fetty that he can't come to Paterson, and if he sees him, it's gonna be on site.
Is he persona non grata in Paterson anymore?
Nah, he can't come out there when I'm out there. All
no,
them
you can't come,
little
period.
guys.
It's over. It's over. It's a dub.
So at the end of the day, they never come out to Paterson anyway. If they do come, they'll go somewhere where like on the edge of Paterson where they could come in and say, I'm in Paterson, boom, 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 and that's it, you know what I'm saying?
To make matters worse, Fuzz is cool with another Paterson rapper named P. Dice, who was once part of Fetty's Remy Boy crew. P. Dice was featured on the original version of 679, but was replaced by another artist in the crew named Monty. Allegedly, Fetty was supposed to give P. Dice 16.9% of the song's profits, but later reduced that share to 5%. The song was a top 5 hit on the Billboard Hot 100 and currently has over 550 million streams on Spotify. So it's understandable why P. Dice was so upset that his royalties got slashed and he ended up suing the artist for $7 million. So, the beef between the Muscle Team and the 1738 camp was well established. Fuzz wasn't lying about doing something to Fetty the next time he saw him, and the rant he did for TMZ was recorded just months before the robbery. However, despite claiming that Fetty and his crew were soft, the incident ended in a shootout that left 2 members of Fuzz's crew injured. The other person hit was a member of Fetty's entourage who allegedly shot himself by accident. Luckily, no one was killed, and Fuzz was eventually arrested. Fuzz and his brother LACKIN were originally facing up to 20 years in prison for the robbery and possessing weapons as convicted felons, but copped a plea deal to receive less time. Fuzz ended up being sentenced to 5 years, and Latwin was sentenced to time served while awaiting trial. There haven't been any other incidents between the two crews since the robbery, unless something happened in the streets and didn't make the news. Hopefully, Fetty and his crew have hashed things out and reached a peace agreement. Otherwise, it might get wild in Patterson once Fuzz is released. But at least Fetty didn't lose his chain or any money in this attempt. However, this next rapper was crowd surfing at his show and got a $100,000 chain snatched off his neck. Let's get into it. Slim Jxmmi. Slim Jxmmi is one half of the pop rap duo Rae Sremmurd along with Swae Lee. The two are brothers from Tupelo, Mississippi. They signed to super producer Mike Will Made It Eardrummer's imprint in 2013 and started gaining attention the following year with songs like No Type and No Flex Zone. They have gone on to release numerous Billboard hits and are known for their catchy melodies and bright personalities. But right at the height of their success, Slim Jxmmi was the victim of a chain snatching at a show in Paris, France. The duo was performing at the Zenith in Paris on July 3rd, 2017, and Slim Jxmmi decided to crowd surf in the middle of the show. While Jxmmi was in the crowd, someone snatched the chain from his neck and ran off with it, just like the Carti situation. However, the chain that Slim Jxmmi was wearing was worth a lot more money. According to Euro 1, a French media outlet, the chain was worth 100,000 euros or about 113,000 US dollars. So it's understandable why Slim Jxmmi was upset by losing the piece. There's no footage of the actual chain snatching, but footage of the aftermath was released. Jxmmi got back up on stage and told the crowd what had happened. He demands that whoever snatched it come forward and ask the fans to point out the person who has it. He isn't quite as angry as Youngboy was and doesn't threaten to shoot up the audience, but he does seem pretty pissed. Swae Lee jumps in and offers to bring whoever stole the chain on tour with them if they come forward. He even offers the chain snatcher 5,000 euros to return the piece.
Who got the chain? I got you 5,000 euros right now. Who got the chain?
But still, no one comes forward. He pushes the bid to 50,000 euros and still, no one comes forward.
Who got the chain right now? I will cash you out 50,000 euros right now. Who got the chain? Hold that motherfucker up. Who got it? Hold that bitch up like this. Come to the stage. Come to the stage.
However, that may have done more harm than good, because the thief probably realized that if the group was willing to pay 50,000 euros for it on the spot, it must be worth double on the streets of Paris. Jxmmi had purchased the piece only a few weeks prior and posted a video with it to social media. The chain spelled out JXM, and according to a post on IG, he got it to let his fans know how his stage name was spelled, with an X instead of an I. There are several photos of Jxmmi wearing the piece while on tour, where he looks pretty hyped to be wearing his new jewelry. However, he made a mistake by jumping into the crowd with over $100,000 worth of gold and diamonds around his neck. Jxmmi took to social media after the concert to admit that he did hit a $100,000 crowd surf. A fan replied to the tweet to ask him how he felt, and he replied saying he was indifferent. At the time, Rae Sremmurd was one of the hottest groups in the world, and fresh off the success of their hit song Black Beatles featuring Gucci Mane that became a viral craze thanks to the mannequin challenge. So, at least Jxmmi could afford to lose the $100,000 without ruining his career. Hopefully, this incident is a lesson to rappers everywhere to remove their jewelry before they jump into the crowd, especially when it's worth as much as a sports car. But part of the appeal of expensive jewelry is showing it off, and many are willing to take the risk just for the clout.